Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. So with that in mind, let's jump right in to this week's episode of Becoming Something.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy JP in the podcast studio, and Nate's here.
What's
Nate's
up,
here,
JP?
Nate's here.
Hey.
Sing us. You want to sing a song?
Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain.
We were purposely trying to sing that right
He
now.
washed it white as snow.
And now no one is listening. Sorry to
Yeah.
lost the audience.
Well, I was just trying to protect you.
I will say, hey,
From-
staff prayer is different. Worship is different now.
Yeah.
It's not as loud without me in
Yeah,
there.
it's like, man, I can hear my
Kathy's
voice.
here, by the way. Shut up. You're so mean.
Everybody's want to know if you're back to stay because I'm like telling them, guys, I don't know. She's
No,
pretty flippant.
people are asking
I don't
me
think
that.
I don't think becoming
I'm
something is a priority to her.
Well, it's
Are
not
you-
She
because
values family.
Are you kidding me?
because she said I'm leaving,
My
and
kid
now
is
she
home.
keeps showing up on the
That's not
podcast.
I mean, even in negotiations, she was like, "Well, how long is that going to take?" I
well,
was
she
like,
didn't
I was
say
like,
that. Her agent said
Yeah,
that.
I was like,
sent my agent,
I was
of
like, it's
course.
just an hour, and they're like,
Well,
well,
today's
her
almost 2,
her rate
so-
is about $2,500
and
an
you're
hour.
like, you live 5 minutes from church. This isn't
That
that big of a
gas
deal.
has gotten expensive.
I was like, "What are you like? Some kind of attorney or like what in the world?
I do
You're,
have
like
one to speak.
med school? I'm confused.
Can we let the people know
About what?
that it
She's
is a-
pregnant.
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
funny.
No.
But you might be.
No.
She might be pregnant. I mean,
I-
you guys,
That's not what
rumors
she-
get
you guys
started.
should all pray
Yeah.
Okay. That I'm back for good for at least a year.
For a little bit.
I have a contract.
for good.
That y'all missed me so much that you guys brought me back in. That's how I'm interpreting this. That y'all miss seeing me each week. You miss talking to me.
Listen,
hearing
I was
my
just sick of the
snort.
emails saying, "Where's Kathy? Where's
With
Kathy?"
Kathy
Spelled
with
the
a
C.
C.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know who this person is.
We love
They
Kathy
freaking
with a
love
C
Kathy with
so
a
much.
C. She's the real star.
Why are you so prideful that the first letter of your name matters?
I
That's a
think
good
Kathy with a K is infinitely
Like
cooler
Karen.
of a name than Kathy with a C. No offense to all the Kathys with a C out there.
Why
would
wait.
that be cooler
Yeah.
in any way?
Everyone knows it. K is a cooler letter. That's all I gotta say.
Because it's more Karen.
Okay. I don't know. It's
It
not like it's a
is,
cool
right?
name anyways, so I'm just trying to grasp at straws over here.
Kathy.
Have you
Super
ever
cool.
thought about going by Nathan?
Oh, no.
Do you think anybody goes, is their name is Jonathan Nathan for short? I'm being serious.
It's not the top nickname option.
Well,
for
I would have never
Jonathan.
thought
Hey,
of it
let
until,
us know right in
Yeah.
if you go by
Until-
Nathan for short.
And your name's Jonathan.
Yeah.
And my name's Nate, but my real name's Jonathan. That would be awesome. Well, I
Is
want
that
to
your
know
story?
that. No, my name's Nathan.
Oh,
Is it Nathaniel?
No, it's just Nathan.
man.
Yeah,
Nathan.
I know. I'm sorry.
Man.
Names are hard, man.
Is
I
your
will
name
never,
Catherine?
Yes. And here's the deal. I always wanted to go by Kate because Kate's like the cooler nickname.
Yeah, that's true.
So why
But
didn't you?
My mom had a best friend named Kathy. And
your
that was
mom's
who I
like-
was named after.
So you're like in
Kathy is
elementary
like-
school.
No, so here's the deal. Every year they would be like, all right, what nicknames do you go by? And so I'd either try Kate or I'd try Catherine because Catherine's, really pretty nice name. Well, I go to college. It never took on. I go to college freshman year, and I'm like, my name is Catherine. I'm going by Catherine. I'm going by Catherine. My roommate was also named Catherine. We were potluck. And so I was like, ugh, okay, you can call me Kathy. And that just stuck. And guess what? Lo and behold, a year later, I find out she had always been Kate, and she wanted to change her name to Catherine. And she
Take her
freaking got
down.
away with
Cancel
it.
Why didn't you
and
take-
I gave in.
Why didn't you
Cancel
take
her.
Kate?
Because I was like, Kathy to Catherine goes
JP,
easier.
you know what I hear? Excuses.
I
Listen,
hear it.
I'm just saying I tried, and I've just always been a Kathy. People are like, you're just such a Kathy. What does that mean?
Yeah, like it
Like a
means like a
middle-aged
72-year-old
woman, yeah.
grandmother. No, not middle-aged.
No, it used to be. But I'm just getting older. People are always like, I have an Aunt Kathy. And I'm like,
I have an
yeah,
Aunt
you do.
Kathy
I know.
with a K.
I know, with a K. But
With
she's
a K.
Cool aunt.
She was the cool aunt.
Thank you.
She'd always give the most money at birthdays.
Well, that's what we're here
Shout
for.
out
Cool
Aunt Kathy.
Kathy's with a K.
Was she also from Guero?
Myersville. It's
Here's
like a
the
suburb of
deal.
Cuero.
Yeah,
Names
Myersville's
are
a big
hard.
deal.
Like, naming kids is really a hard decision. Like, do y'all feel good about Callie's name?
I guess maybe she'll listen to this at some point. But I'm like, I don't know. I guess we kind of got to it. We made a list and went back and forth. And
It's a great
Adelie's
name.
like, man, it was between two names. I won't say the other name. The other name, I was just like, man, I don't know.
Why won't you say it?
Because
what if they
because
third?
it's such a common name.
What is it?
Well, it was Annie. Adelie really likes Annie.
That's a cute name.
And I'm just like, man, that just feels
A
like.
and N-I-E?
Yeah, I'm like, all I can think of is like 1920s. Well, Annie's a great name. Annie's a
Wow.
great name. The play, whenever that was. I'm like, that's all I can think about.
Oh, the musical.
And it's a great name.
Tomorrow, there's it's a hard knocks life
Yeah,
for us. It's a hard knocks life for us. That are playing, we get treats.
No, we get chores.
Oh, chores.
Something bad.
I thought
They
we
were
get
an
treats.
orphanage.
We get
It wasn't
treats.
I
fun.
thought we
Okay.
get treats.
So I was like, man, well, I guess we'll just do this. So I don't know. Guys'
Wow.
names were easier for me.
Yeah.
But
But,
you're just gonna have daughters.
but I'm
so
just going to have 13 daughters. And
love
yeah.
every minute of it.
Totally.
Anyways,
it's going to be great.
that's the saga with my name. Thank you for hearing me out.
Yeah.
You can call me Catherine if you want. You can try.
Catherine? I'm good.
Darn it.
Don't chill.
Well, all right.
But thanks. I mean,
Thanks for the offer.
thanks for the
Thanks for
permission.
trying. Cool. Cool.
Uh,
I just want to be cool. I just want a cool name. Whatever.
Why?
What are we talking about today?
Oh, so baby names. This podcast is on baby names.
You know what? When Jesus come back, it doesn't matter what our names are. There you go. That was your
Wow.
transition.
Oh man.
you don't think we'll have names in heaven? We're
I
just gonna
actually
be like,
don't know. Do we?
What name is our names are
Do you
written in the
think
book
it
of
will-
life?
No.
What names did
Do
he
you
write?
think
But
it's
it's-
Kathy or is it Catherine?
Kate,
Jonathan Bob.
it's going to be JP Pokluda. That's my favorite
What
name
if
for you.
it's Nathaniel
Pokluda.
and you're like, no, I was Nathan.
Like, dang, man.
Jesus is like, sorry, not
Sorry,
here.
I didn't mean you.
Which I'm like gonna be the least surprised. I'll be
Oh
honest.
my
Oh my
gosh.
God, you can't say that.
My only concern is that I wasn't fully baptized.
Yeah, well,
My only concern.
you're gonna have half a head in heaven.
I know.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so a question that's I don't know if you've realized this, JP. There's like wars and rumors of wars, and there's a lot going on.
Earthquakes.
And I don't know if you noticed this, but I follow this celebrity pastor on Instagram, and every Friday he does Q&A, and a lot of questions that he's getting is like, "Hey, is Jesus coming back soon? Are we in the end times? Like, how do we know when Jesus is coming back?" And I think people are wondering that right now, especially with Israel. It's like, man, what does all this mean? So my question to you, Pastor, is Jesus coming back soon?
Yes.
Are we in the end times?
Wait, but how could you
Yes.
how could you possibly say that when Jesus says
How soon?
no one knows?
Well, I don't know when. I
He
mean,
just said soon.
it is going to be 2033, but other than that, I don't know when.
You heard it here first, people.
So why can you say confidently?
And
Jesus
why
coming
are
back
you
soon?
saying it so chill?
But why
I
is
feel
it
like if
not
Jesus
chill?
coming back, we need to be panicking and like.
Why would you panic if Jesus is coming back?
Have you seen how it's described?
Her
in
house is dirty.
Scripture? yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
For believers?
How? Yeah. What? Well, there's a lot of debate around the pre-trib.
Yeah, thank you.
The Waco trip,
Are you pre-trib?
dude. You put this is bad.
It's okay.
Don't say it then.
Well, it's not like bad. But you put that on the screen pre-post. I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. First Peter says we're gonna suffer, so maybe.
Yeah.
Signs of the end of the age.
Is that Matthew 24?
Yeah.
Where you at?
My,
I'm here. I'm at Matthew 24.
I mean,
Just turned
where I my failing can be like, I
No,
don't.
no, no. Listen to why it's scary, okay? Jesus is saying you will hear of wars and rumors of war. See
Okay.
that you're not alarmed. So, okay, ignore that part. But this
This is
Here's
why
why
it's
you
scary.
should be scared.
This
He
is why
says,
it's scary.
Don't be scared.
Okay, let me continue. It gets worse. He says, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake.
Oh, I guess I'm post-trip.
And then many will fall away, betray one another, false prophets will arise. And then the gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come.
So let's talk about it. So the beginning of birth pains, he says, or wars and rumors of wars. So we've got Hamas, Israel, Ukraine, Russia,
China, Taiwan, potentially.
Really?
rumors of World
Rumor,
War III, right? U.S. is mobilizing
Check
ships.
myself.
Yeah, so, I mean, we got that, wars and rumors of wars. The next one, the first one is people will claim to be the Messiah. Has that ever happened, or is that happening?
Not
Monica?
in Waco.
Yeah. Well, somebody told me Waco stands for "We Ain't Coming Out," which I was like, "Oh my goodness, I've never heard that."
Because
So
that did happen in Waco.
David Koresh claimed to be a Messiah. This happens in lots of places. We hear about some of them because of the drama around it. But yeah, if you watched the Amazon Prime Waco, there's a new Netflix special on it. That's a shout out. That's our town. It's
Come
actually
on.
not, by the way. It's like 30
It's
minutes
not
away.
close,
But
yeah.
do you have famine? So in September, that was big headlines. If you just Google famine and news, you're going to see there's droughts in parts of Africa around that continent and other parts of the world where there's a major food shortage and people are dying of starvation. You have earthquakes. So in 2023 so far, how many major earthquakes would you guess we've had?
I think I've heard of
One.
for sure, I think 3.
So we've had over 11,000
Actually,
earthquakes.
She wasn't even at church on Sunday. So.
I
11,000.
watched it, bro.
Oh,
Sorry, I was home with sick kids, and I still watched church.
Interesting.
Took notes in my head.
11,000 earthquakes, but major, and I define major by over 6.0 on a Richter scale, over 100. I think it's like over 107 or something, 104 so far in 2023. I would have guessed 3. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, when do you hear about major earthquakes? So it's like check.
that's
So
happened.
we're like
Yep.
at the beginning of birth pains. Peter says in 1 Peter 4, the end of all things are near, which I think is better translated, the end of all things are coming. That's 1 Peter 4:7. And Kathy just read to us from Matthew 24. And so there's different ways to interpret this. One might read that and say, well, it's he's not going to come back until the gospel is preached to
Yep.
the four corners of the earth. And it's like, hey, we know the earth doesn't have corners, that it's, you flat earthers are wrong.
oh,
The
dude! Wow.
Hot take. The earth is a sphere. And I would say not so hot take, actually.
Yeah.
However, Friday Q&A might surprise you how many times I get that question.
I'm not
Really?
surprised because I
people so
I preached a
concerned about
sermon and we had a clip, but where I posted, I literally just said something like, "The Earth is round." Something I don't know.
Super controversial.
profound.
And then the comments are like, "Read your Bible, bro."
Yeah.
Yeah, four corners stuff.
Yeah, read your Bible. So I think the gospel has been preached around the world, but it very well could be that it would need to be interpreted into every language on earth.
Yeah.
And we don't, that may be a reference to tongues, that we can speak and be heard. There's a lot of mystery around this. And so I think a lot of people try to bring a theology called eschatology, or the study of end times, to come up with really strong, conclusive, hey, when's he coming back? Well, he tells us no one knows the hour or the time. So if we were to say he's going to come back at this time, I think my theology would be he's not going to come back in that time because you said he's not, because you said he is, right? Because nobody knows the hour and the time. And so it's going to be a surprise to all of us. I think that the technology that we have available to us today would allow everyone to see it, because he says it's going to be seen around the world. The sky's going to be rolled back like a scroll. Jesus is going to return. We don't know when. I hope it's tonight. Some people are like, man, why? Like, don't you want to see things or do things first? And I'm like, no. Like, they're like, hey, don't you want to walk your girls down the aisle or something to see them off to get married? Like, are you kidding me? No. Anything that you would say compared to heaven, like, I want heaven. I want to see Jesus. I want to be with Jesus. I hope he comes back right now. I'm ready. Let's go. And if he tarries, like if he waits, you know, 2 Peter 3:7 says he's waiting on you, or it might be 3:9. It says the Lord is not slow in keeping his promises, as some understand slowness, but he's patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. So all that God is waiting on is, you know, we have work to do. Otherwise, he would come back right now. And when Peter says the end of all things is coming, I think the apostles genuinely thought Jesus was going to come back in their lifetime. And that's why they did the work that they did, believing that. And so I believe he's coming back in my lifetime because I want to be motivated to do the work that he has for me to do. And it's a low-risk belief because if he doesn't come back in my lifetime, I'm going to continue to live my life in the way that God calls me to. Like, what would you do differently if you knew Jesus was coming back tomorrow? What would you do differently?
I thought about that since Sunday, since that sermon.
I'd probably quit my job and go fly somewhere cool.
Tomorrow? Like, you have one day left.
But why would you fly somewhere cool? Because heaven's going to be on earth.
See, everything
So
I
wherever
want
you
to
fly-
say is like dumb.
Let me say this real quick, though. I want to hear what you're going to say. But I think a common misconception is we think, oh, I gotta go see Tahiti because one day I'm going to be in heaven. I won't be able to see Tahiti. Heaven's going to be here. You're going to be able to see Tahiti in its glorified state. You're going to be able to see Fiji in its glorified state. You're going to be able to climb Mount Everest in a moment. Right, like heaven's going to be on earth in its perfected state. So there's nothing that you need to see here that you won't. You're going to have forever and ever and ever and ever.
What about
to see
like
it.
do here though? Like
bungee jump or something.
Yeah, like bungee jumping, having sex.
Nobody has gotten to heaven, and like the height, like so the greatest pleasure you can experience on earth, I think, is the floor of heaven. And so it's like if you say, well, orgasm is the greatest natural pleasure I can experience here on earth, I'm telling you, you're going to feel that or better in the presence of God forever and ever and ever and ever. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say all of our answers are kind of dumb. You know, like when I think about, okay, I'd want to eat like a really good meal or spend time with...
Go get Chopsticks. Good place in Waco.
Go get Raisin Canes or
I'm
something.
having chopsticks for lunch,
I
guys.
know you are. That's why you said it. We're worried about you. But it's like all of these things, when you like think of where you're headed, it's pales in comparison. But I think my problem is I'm not thinking about heaven and like what it will really be like. I think we just get so dead set on like wanting to make this earthly life all that we can, live it to the fullest. What's the YOLO? You only live once. Like, go all out, do all the things, eat all the things, have all the experiences here because we think this is the life. And I know it's not, but I don't know how to like want heaven more. So what would you say to someone like me who struggles in that same way? Like we try to get too comfortable here on earth.
Yeah, what do you do when you like where's somewhere you'd be really excited to go?
Well, Israel.
Really? Today?
Kathy's always wanted to like.
What's so funny?
She's always wanted to like join an army and like.
I really want to go to the Holy Land, and you guys are going next year, and that's why Nate looked at me, and then I realized when I said it that that's like obviously very. Let's say I want to go to Greece.
Nate almost didn't even go, by the way.
I know. I freaking told him to go.
Lame.
I do want to go to the Holy Lands, and hopefully there will be peace there, so y'all can go. But
hey, I believe Waco's
Greece,
a holy land.
I want to go to Europe. I've never really been.
And I just want to like say his laughter is not at the war that's happening in Israel.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's at me not getting to go on the trip. That's why.
He's laughing at the thought of Kathy
Yes, I am.
dressed up
Having
like a soldier
Oh.
That's what I was like.
doing something.
Oh. Well.
So where would you want to go?
I was changing my answer. Europe, Greece,
There's a lot of countries in Europe.
It's big.
Greece.
big
Greece.
place.
Okay.
Rome, Italy.
All right.
France.
Give me one.
Where would you want to go? Literally
Greece?
every country
Literally
on earth.
anywhere. I've never been
like you would-
anywhere. I've really never. I've only
You
been
would be
to
excited
India.
to go to Greece. So like the what's that island that everybody goes? Santorini
Yes,
Islands.
where it's the
If you-
blue house.
So Matt's like, hey, we're
and
gonna
the
go to
white.
Santorini Islands, all inclusive. Like we're gonna stay in the white,
Yes.
houses and
Yes,
overlook
blue
the sea and
roofs.
whatnot. And we're planning this trip. What would make you excited about that?
Getting to see something I've never seen before.
I know. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So thinking, feeding thoughts of, man, I'm gonna get to see somewhere I've never
yeah.
seen before. What else would make you excited?
Prepping for it.
Yeah, I just
Packing
think
for it?
so. I just think feeding those thoughts, and like if you know that
Planning
trip's on the
for it?
calendar, I just think we have this faith leak that we don't think like, oh man, I'm gonna be with God forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
And we have to every day take time to feed those thoughts and like to look forward to it. Like Jesus is coming back. We don't know when, but I think it's imminent. Meaning, that word means that there's nothing preventing him from coming back right now.
Yeah.
Like I think he could come back right now. And so we should wake up every day because there's lots of parables. There's several, I'll say parables that speak to people that got tired of waiting. So they went on and about their business. They did things they shouldn't have done. They were no longer looking for him. Like Jesus is trying to say clearly, like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah. Don't be
Which-
that.
Like keep
yeah.
looking for me.
I love that he said that because it's so easy. Even the fact that you mentioned it in a sermon this week. It's like, dang, I'm not really thinking, man, is Jesus coming back tonight? Because you just live your life, and it's
Right.
like, man, it's just Tuesday today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we're like having our quiet time with Jesus in the morning, like that should be the time that we're reminding ourselves that
Yeah.
eternity is coming.
Yeah,
And that's
I
what we
mean,
should be looking forward to.
Like one of the things I was thinking of when you're talking about Santorini, it's like, man, I'm going on Instagram the month before every day looking up pictures of
Oh, for
Santorini.
sure.
And it's like, oh, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm
Yes.
going. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
So
Like, that's what we, yeah.
how do we do that with heaven?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think you look at pictures, but I think you can read about it.
Yeah.
And you can long for it, and you can think, man, and really everything imperfect in this world is a reminder that you're not there because those imperfections won't be there. And so you don't have to have FOMO here on earth because you're like, man, one day I'm gonna have all the time in the world to explore the world in a better state than the world is in, without the fear of being pickpocketed or having something stolen or getting lost, And so it's like, that's amazing to think about. People, I think, just get confused in that mystery. And so I think to sit in there and to feed those thoughts, it's a really beautiful thing.
I know this is a silly example, but our family's been hit with a stomach bug this week, just
Yeah.
like everyone has gone down.
Oh, man, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, I'm keeping a distance. But the last kid went down this morning, and I was like bummed, trying to spend time with Jesus. Like, what are we going to do? And I just had this thought. I was like, you know what? There won't be the stomach bug in heaven.
No
And that
stomach
got me
bug.
excited about heaven. So I'm like,
Yeah.
as you're saying, as you wait in line, or you have an inconvenience, or you're frustrated, or heartbroken, or like anything wrong that goes wrong in this world, those
Yeah.
are moments for us to take a second and say, hey, this won't be this way forever.
So
Facts.
but I don't know if we've answered the question. You said, hey, if we knew Jesus was coming back tomorrow,
What would you do
what
different?
would you do differently?
Yeah.
Surely you do something different.
I hope the answer for believers that are listening right now is nothing. I wouldn't do anything different. I would share the same amount of people that I shared with yesterday. I would, I would live and enjoy my life and love in the name of Christ in the way that I did yesterday. I think for some of us, like there's people listening who are like, oh man, I would erase my search history and I would not look at porn today and I would, make sure that I don't, vape or get drunk or whatever. And it's like, man, if that's how you feel, live that life today.
Yeah.
If you think, man, I would call my brother and share the gospel, I would go to my coworker and share the gospel. Like, well, do that today.
So good.
Like as though he's coming back tomorrow. Like that's how we are to live today.
Yeah.
So live like that today.
Yeah.
Man.
That's convicting.
Does scriptures give any other examples of like, man, what should we do?
I'd
while
go
we're here?
skydiving, I'd go Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
Man, I know of a heretical church that sang that in church.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Oh, wait, our church.
Yeah. Kathy's face was like, I'm writing them a letter.
No,
That's because
I
she's
was
Kathy.
there. I was like,
That's what Kathys do. That's what
Kathy's are the
Kathys
new
do.
Karens.
You heard it here first, folks. Kathys with a K are the new Karens.
That's amazing.
We're just-
Someone had a name for me because they basically said I'm the male Karen, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
It was.
Oh goodness.
Oh no, JP's out.
What happened?
The microphone just punched him in the
I
face.
can't remember what that was either.
Live.
Yeah. The scriptures give us any examples of like, man, what should we do to prepare for Jesus
What
coming
you trying
back?
to do?
I was trying to remember what we were talking about.
Man, so glad Kathy's back.
Shut up.
Whoa!
Wow.
Whoa!
Oh, because she's like, no. Because now she's like, you can't fire me. She's like, I don't work for you anymore.
Wow.
Man.
I would never
Hey,
tell
next
you that.
week we're going to talk about
As
just
my pastor,
just
my
about
boss, my
respecting
friend.
pastors, clergy, authority.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, there's all like the parable of the 10 virgins. Like, there's so many. The parable of the great banquet.
Wait, what about like, I don't know, how important is like prayer or like using your gifts to serve others or
Well, so 1 Peter 4, let's see, it's like 8 through 11. He says, therefore, so no, it's verse 7.
Yeah.
Therefore, the end of all things are near. So he says, pray. And he's saying like, hey, pray as though the end of all things are new. Sober, be alert and sober-minded. Go ahead.
I mean, one of the things that you've changed my prayers is like you prayed. Maybe this was even on Sunday, where you're like, God, I pray that everyone on earth comes to know Jesus today. It's like
why not?
if you thought Jesus was coming back soon, you should pray that every single day.
Yeah,
Totally.
why not? Like, I mean, God can answer that prayer like
Totally.
effortlessly.
Let's go.
And so he says, be hospitable to one another. Says, love one another because love covers a multitude of sins. He says, speak as though you're speaking the very words of God. Serve with all of God's strength. He says, use the gift that God has given you. And so, like, this is a great checklist of, hey, here's what we need to do.
Yeah,
If
totally.
God's coming back tomorrow, we need to pray. We need to be hospitable to one another. Like that says, be generous toward strangers is the Greek. We're to love, agape. We're to sacrificially love, especially the brothers and sisters of the faith, those in the church. We should belong to a church, right? We should speak words of encouragement to one another, and we should serve. And so, like, we should use our spiritual gifts. So if there's, Tommy Nelson talks about there's a list of 12 spiritual gifts, and you could divide those 12 into 5 of them being speaking gifts, 7 of them being serving gifts. Each one of us is going to have an inclination to either have a speaking gift or a serving gift, and to understand what our gifts are and to use them in the local body, like to get after it. And so I think that's the essence of what we should do if he's coming back. What?
Where does like entertainment fall into this? It like, can I go watch a movie? Can I like?
Yeah. It's like you can watch a movie to the glory of God, but man, I'd be mindful of what. It's funny that you use that example because when I was little, they would say, "Hey, somebody said, what do you want to be doing when Jesus returns?" And I would be sitting in this dark movie theater in Victoria, Texas, right, watching a movie, and on each side of the screen was a red exit sign.
Yeah.
And so I just remember the red exit signs, and I was like, man, Jesus is going to come back through that door right now, and he's going to find me watching this movie.
Wow.
And I don't know why
That's
that
amazing.
always stayed with me. And so I was like, whatever movie you're watching, make sure it's the movie you want to be watching when Jesus comes back, because he could come
Wow.
back at any minute.
Dang.
Yeah, it stayed with me.
That's good.
All right, you got to go. You got sick kids at home. I know.
I'm sure I have a meeting.
I was just going to say,
Okay.
I'm sure you haven't. There's this checklist. Are we in the end of times? We talked about that at the beginning. And
Yeah.
then you just gave us a really good checklist. Like,
Yeah.
that's the checklist we should be focusing on
yeah.
is how we are to be living now because we are in the end of times.
It's 1 Peter 4,
Yeah, that's
7 through 11. There's your checklist of how to live, because he starts, the end of all things are near. So I love it. That's great. Jesus is coming back. You heard it here
Soon,
first,
maybe
folks.
tomorrow.
Maybe today.
Maybe
Let's
yesterday.
live like it.
Yeah. I hope this podcast never airs
Wow.
because Jesus came
Let's
back
go.
before. Let's go.
Okay.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. To find out more, visit becomingsomething.com.